My name is Stephanie Lucas, founder and CEO of the Annuity Consultants and creator of the Heart-Centered Planning series. And we are, again, so thrilled to have Raj Jana with us today. This is the start of our second season of the Heart-Centered Planning series. So we have a really amazing lineup. So this is an incredible way to start it, by the way. Super, super stoked on it. And then really, we're taking a deeper dive into the subject matter and the 8 principles that we outline in the series because they're such broad topics. So we're really looking forward to go deep with you about being grounded and the importance of it. Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. So a little bit of background. The Heart-Centered Planning series was created really to help agents and advisors connect with their clients on a soul level and to really, be present with them and pay attention to what it is that they really are desiring in their lives. So to help them get to where they want to go and to guide them every step of the way. And and make unbiased recommendations, by the way. And again, like this, the principles that we talk about, if incorporated, could really take your business to that next level. And that's what we're here to do, is help people really up level. And also a couple housekeeping tips before we get started. We really want audience engagement. So throughout the webinar, I encourage you guys to ask questions, ask anything that you want of Raj or myself. We are here to be in service and to give as much as we can during this hour. We will probably talk about 45 minutes and then questions, Q&A at the end if we don't get anything from the audience throughout, but I'm sure you guys will have questions. So, and then as far as at the end, we will be providing a copy, a replay to everybody so you can distribute it out to your community as well. So help us spread the word, help us get this content out there and help people stay grounded. All right, so now I'm going to introduce our lovely speaker, Raj. Thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so Raj is an impact-driven investor, entrepreneur, and media host who's passionate about using capitalism and business as a vehicle to make the world a brighter place. At age 27, Raj was 2019's youngest recipient of the Houston Business Journal 40 Under 40 and his influence on local communities. He also writes about leadership, personal growth, and conscious capitalism in his own column for Inc. magazine, Stay Grounded in Business. After his mentor died of a heart attack just 3 months short of retirement, he felt compelled to step up and do something meaningful to challenge conventional ways of thinking. He found the Stay Grounded Group, a holding company that focuses on acquiring impact-driven assets with a mission to transform conscious capitalism into the default way of doing business. Oh, I love that. I just got chills. He's also the founder of Stay Grounded Media, a global podcast education platform and community focused on helping people realize and leverage the tools they already have to achieve more happiness, success, and fulfillment in daily life. Such a good bio. I love it.
Thanks for reading it.
Yeah, and also 40 under 40. That's amazing. Also, don't you have a birthday coming up like tomorrow?
Like tomorrow. That's right.
Yeah.
I turned 30 tomorrow. So I have a few more hours to be dumb and reckless. So it's great.
Well, I feel like you can be dumb and reckless like however old you are. So
I know. I'm just being funny. Or trying to be funny.
Yeah. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, well, without further ado, I'm going to get into our questions. So the first question I've got for you is, how would you define being grounded?
So being grounded, and it's funny, I was actually just having this conversation with someone on my team the other day. I've done about 179 podcast episodes for Stay Grounded. And one of the consistent questions that I ask, the very last question that I ask every single guest is, how do you stay grounded? And what I've seen over the years and what's been beautiful is every single time somebody answers that question, it's almost like they take a big deep breath right before. It's like a
Yes.
and they get back into their body and they relax and they answer that question from a place of connection to themselves. And the answers may range from my family keeps me grounded, walks in nature keeps me grounded, taking deep breaths keeps me grounded, my morning ritual keeps me grounded. So to me, the idea of being grounded is just staying connected to yourself
Yeah.
and being present. What brings you back to this moment? Because in this moment, there is no fear. In this moment, there's just you, your hands, your senses. There's what's in front of you. And to me, staying grounded or being grounded is just coming back to that and anchoring yourself in that so that no matter what you do, where you go, you're not getting lost in your mind or the thoughts of the future or the reflections of the past. And so to me, that is what I think embodies the idea of staying grounded. There are many tools and vehicles and ways to get there,
Yeah.
but the overall central idea is just being here now, present in your body in this moment.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things that we do. And depending on where you're at, you want to do, like even in the line at the grocery store, I can breathe, right? That's a great way for me to get grounded. And
Yep.
walking outside in my grass, I love doing that. Except now we've got all kinds of bugs coming out for the spring. So, especially in Texas. So, yeah. All right, awesome. So can you share with us a brief background about yourself and your career path and where you are today? Because you have a pretty
Sure.
amazing, I mean, like your story is incredible. So
Well,
you
I'll
kind of,
try summing it up. I'll try summing it up. So I started my career in petroleum engineering. So I graduated college from the University of Texas, got a job with Chevron right out of school, moved to New Orleans, and I really wasn't happy. Like the corporate life wasn't for me. I didn't like somebody controlling my career progression. I was away from my ex at the time, my ex-girlfriend and I, we were doing long distance. I mean, there was just a lot of reasons for me to be really upset. And
yeah,
so I started. In fact, it was Thanksgiving of 2014 when I was on my way back home. I saw a book called The 4 Hour Work Week by a guy named Tim Ferriss,
totally.
and the subtitle for that book was escape the 9 to 5 and live your dream life. And I was like, that's speaking to me. So I picked up the book, read it, and it changed my life. It made me realize that there was this whole world of learning and there were people that were living very unconventionally and being successful doing so. And so that started a whole journey of me learning about entrepreneurship, listening to podcasts, reading books, and I started buying courses and doing side hustles. And about a year later, after many attempts to start businesses, I ended up actually launching my first business, which was Java Press, which is my coffee company.
Yes.
After I bought a course that taught people how to launch products online. Launched it in September of 2015, and then 3 months after I launched my first product, I had my mentor Jerry Markowitz, who was a geologist working at the same company, die of a heart attack 3 months before his retirement date after he worked 37 years for the company.
Oh, amazing.
And I just remember that moment. That was January of 2016, and I remember that being one of the most impactful experiences of my life because it was the first time that I realized that I could do everything right in my life. I could literally play by the book exactly as I'm supposed to,
Yeah.
and there's absolutely no guarantee that I'm actually going to get to experience what I want to experience in my life. Like it's just we tend to have this idea of control, or like if I just follow the plan or if I just go by the blueprint, it'll work out for me. But that was the first time I realized that that wasn't true. And so I made the decision in that moment that I didn't care what I did, I was going to become a successful entrepreneur. 7 months later, Java Press hit its first 7 figures in business. I was still working full time. and I kind of figured out a way to hire virtually and build a virtual team. And then the next year I left to focus on business full time, and that's the year I launched Stay Grounded. Initially, it started as a tagline for my coffee company.
Yeah.
Get it, stay grounded.
Great.
We sold like
Yeah.
coffee grinders and stuff, and
Totally.
and then over time, I just kept going deeper into what it meant to stay grounded, and it just started embodying so much more. And so now I'm an investor. I have the podcast. We're in 70 something countries. I advise. I'm a serial entrepreneur myself. I have several businesses. I say yes to life. I just try to have as much fun as I can, and I try to. I'm really passionate about living at my edge, so that I can experience the most depth in my life. And I've learned to optimize my life for experiences that allow me to connect deeper with myself. And so that's really a little bit about myself. That's my career, and that's where I'm at.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. I mean, and that's a big reason that we created this series is to, help people live that way, right? That they don't have to have the grind. They don't have to work 18 hours a day. There's so much more to life than that grind. And if you can focus on yourself and really do the things that make you happy, then the hours you do spend in your business is going to flourish, you know? So I think,
well, I think it's I took away the idea of being happy to being fulfilled,
yeah,
because sometimes you do need struggle to, like, if you live a life without struggle, you're actually missing half of the
yeah,
coin, like, right? So
totally.
like you can't have the light without the darkness. And so if you're constantly looking for the light, I mean, you're going to be missing out on a deep, rich part of the human experience, because there is grief, there is loss. We're all going to be faced with challenges in our lives. And I think for me, what really shifted was changing my relationship with the grind, so that the grind doesn't feel like a grind. Why? Because I have a different way of approaching it. I have a different way of showing up during the day. I'm optimizing for different variables. And so I I've really shifted, and that was a really hard, like I was not good at that. Like growing up, my parents always wanted me to be happy. My parents constantly, I mean, if everybody around me was always just wanting to be happy. And I think the more I just focused on being happy, the less happier I got. And I realized I needed to actually have those. Gratitude has been a much more sustainable emotion to optimize my life for. Like, I want to feel grateful all the time. That to me is like, because then the hard things, like if you can be grateful during the hard times and grateful during the happy times, happiness almost ends up being a byproduct of focusing on that specific emotion in myself. So that's what's changed over the years, at least. And I've had some time to think about this because I'm turning 30 tomorrow. So I've been really like reflective the last week. So you're catching me at an interesting time.
Yes. Well, I appreciate it. And I am getting so much out of this conversation already. And so I know that our audience will as well. And thankfully we have it recorded so we can go back and like re-listen and take notes. And yeah, I love it. All right. So I already kind of got the answer to the next question. So I'm going to move on to was this shift that caused you to move your way of being to a more mindful and heart-centered lifestyle very much impacted by the loss of your mentor, or was that something that you were kind of
So I didn't know why. So after Jerry died, I started working really hard. I mean, I woke up at 5 a.m., 5 to 7 a.m. I worked on my business. 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. I worked at work, and then I'd come back home, and then I'd work until 8 or 9 p.m.
wow?
And I was working really hard. Like, I mean, it was, very, very, very long hours. And we became successful, but I had just created another job for myself, right?
Right.
Like I was, so like it was this idea of like replacing one hamster wheel for the other. And I felt very disconnected. This was at the end of 2016. And I went to a marketing conference actually just to see how much more I can grow my business. And when I went to the marketing conference, I met a guy in it there, one of my first real mentors, a guy named Yannick Silver, who was talking about the idea of he had just written a book called The Evolved Enterprise, which was the idea of connecting your life to your business to make the biggest
Yeah.
impact in the world. And it was like using your business as a vehicle to help others. And I don't know why, but he gave me a free copy of the book. On the flight back, I read that book from head to toe, and I was like, oh my God, this is my guy. Like everything just resonated so much. It was the missing key that I was looking for. Like I just, I felt so disconnected from my business. In the past, I've had so many mentors or parents or anybody really tell me like work-life balance, right? Like have work-life balance.
Yeah.
Like to me, that meant that I was separating my work from my life. And
Uh-huh.
so if I was doing that, then I was always going to have a disconnect between what I did and who I am.
Yes.
And in that moment, I realized that with a little bit of structure, with a little bit of planning, you can actually connect it all and have work-life harmony, where it's just everything blends and works together. And so after I read that book, I started, I started going deeper into the practices that the book suggested, and it was really talking about going into your past and learning from it and bringing it into why you do what you do. And when I did that, I realized looking back on my life, it was the first time I really started practicing reflection and looking back on my life. But when I looked back on my life, I realized, oh my God, I started working so hard because Jerry passed. Like that had such a big impact on me. Why? Why did that have such a big impact on me? And when I started answering the question, it was because, oh my gosh, the idea of something like that happening to my dad freaked me out.
Yeah.
My dad came to the US with $60 in his pocket, worked his entire life for other people, and was so close to retirement. And he didn't really know how to live for himself, and he didn't know how to live in the moment. And so I, with that, I was just inspired. I don't want anyone in my life to think that they have to wait until the weekend to have fun, or they have
Yeah.
to wait until tomorrow, or that they have to. And honestly, I couldn't go out there and convince someone to empty out their 401ks and go buy their dream cars, or I
Right.
couldn't go convince my dad to quit his job and travel the world. Like that's not practical. So then I started really thinking, why, how can I help people live deeper? And that's when Stay Grounded came out. It was like, I can show people that you can use something as simple as a cup of coffee to connect back with yourself. I
Yes.
can show people that you can use something as simple as a hug to live deeper now. And that's when I really started inspiring and really started living and embodying that message. It wasn't until I actually reflected on the role that Jerry's death played on on my own desire to succeed and really get clear on that. That's when it really became a message that I embodied from the inside out.
Awesome. Well, and it's unfortunate that that is what had to happen for this to occur for you, but these are things that as humans we experience, and they are things of like instead of looking at it as why did this happen, it's what can I learn from this, right? So
It's yeah, it's not always easy in the moment.
yeah,
It's a lot easier to like
yeah,
it's been 5 years almost, like
right,
4 years, like looking back now, I can speak it truly, but in the moment, it's really hard because we're so in it and and there's emotions and there's stressors and there's, all these things around us. So, and I think that's why for me, a consistent practice of gratitude has been the most helpful thing to stay grounded and really being grounded. Like it's been such a central theme because when I can practice being grateful, eventually, like in the beginning, it was really hard to be grateful for things that I didn't want to be grateful for. But
right.
now that I've practiced it over the years, when something awful's happening or when something crazy is happening, I can almost instantaneously like return back to that, like, wow, like this is all happening for me. Nothing is happening to me. This is happening for me. And it allows me to truly lean into the experience for what it is and be present inside of something that may be difficult and then allow that to spur the next steps. So, yeah, sorry for the tangent, but
No,
I know you have
no,
questions, but I just
this
kind
is
of went
why
in.
we are talking. No, I love it. I love it. All right, so then in your bio, you mentioned this concept of conscious capitalism. Can you
Mhm.
define that for us and what's it all about?
Yeah, to me, conscious capitalism is about, uh, it really is about like win, 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 win
Yes.
solutions, right? It's not about net loss. Like I think that for too long, businesses and capitalism's gotten a weird reputation because we've either hurt others or like one person wins at the expense of others.
Sure.
Competition is taking other people out.
Hmm.
And to me, I really think conscious capitalism is about believing that there's enough for everybody.
Yes.
And it's not about cutting corners, and it's about really focusing on ensuring that every single person that's inside, that's touched by the business, is in a position to thrive. So like coffee is a great example. Coffee is one of the most exploited industries in the world. If you buy a $9 bag of coffee, I mean, there's like 6 or 7 different hands that touch that coffee. The person that gets squeezed is the farmer,
Right.
right? So the customer is benefiting at the farmer's expense,
Right.
right? But you go to the other end, specialty coffee, which would be like a higher end coffee, and there's lots of specialty coffee companies. Java Press is one of them, right? That may charge more. Well, we charge more, which allows us to deliver a higher end product so the customer's happy, which also allows us to pay the farmer more so that they're
Right.
having sustainable lifestyles, which
Yes.
allows us to make a profit so that we can continue paying our employees, so that we can continue delivering a better experience for everyone there. So do you see the energetic difference between like one scenario and the other? Like
Yeah.
one is like this rising tide raises all ships, and the other is very combative. It's very like not everybody can win. It's this idea. There's a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset, and I think that the abundance mindset is really what I think allows it just allows more to happen. Like I've realized this over the years. Like when we're operating from a space of abundance and really believing that there is more than enough, and really being conscious of the places where there really isn't enough, whether it's the planet or whether it's people resources or whether it's any area, right? Like it's just being conscious and aware of
Yes.
all the different things that are going into something being delivered as an end result.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I talk about, well, it leads into our second guide about the abundance mindset. So this is, perfect. They're building on each other. And, um, when you are able to stay grounded and you are able to really be in that abundance mindset, you know, the possibilities are endless, right? And we talk about that too, like in our industry, the way that people are taught is really from a scarcity, fear-based way of being, right? And there's so much competition created when in reality, there's enough business for everybody, you know? We don't have to compete with each other. We can share ideas, we can co-create, we can do, you know, and then it's just going to make it better for everybody. It's going to make it better for those in the industry and their clients, you know?
Right, right. And and it takes and back to being grounded, like when you're grounded, you believe that,
Yes.
right? Like because you're not operating from fear.
Yes.
Fear is the thing that actually takes you out of being grounded. Like fear is the thing that puts you back in your head. It's the thing that protects you. It's the thing that thinks about future scenarios, past things happening again. Like that's all fear just playing itself. But to me, being grounded is about coming back to your heart, to love, to this moment, and playing from that space of gratitude and just really exploring the possibilities from that space. And so I think from a leadership standpoint, really truly embodying a feeling of groundedness allows you to step into abundance with more ease without as much resistance. It allows you to build better relationships. It allows you to create more connected company cultures. It allows you to serve your customers in more meaningful and authentic ways because you're tuning into them. I mean, there's so many benefits to really feeling and staying out of that scarcity mindset, which is in your head and in fear, and really coming back to that abundance, which is your heart and your body and your presence. So
Yeah. I mean, speaking of that, even though this is not on my questions, because the media really is they promote so much fear. Like, how
Yeah.
do you how do you keep away from all of that like outside stuff that's happening, you know? Like, what do you do?
So I am very protective of my attention. And I don't like I keep up with what's happening, but I really don't dive in. I don't even watch the news, to be honest.
Me
Like
neither.
I keep up with things that I need to keep up with. I have trusted people that I go to when I need opinions, when I need updates.
Yeah.
But like I don't I just don't pay attention to the news. Like that's just the way I am. Like and that and I also cut out negative people. Like
Yeah.
I've been really, I think a part of protecting your energy is having powerful boundaries. And I used to think boundaries were um, kind of like I used to be really bad at communicating boundaries, but what I realized over time is if you communicate a boundary with somebody, they're just not used to you honoring yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
like it is going to take a little bit of time for them to get used to you being like, "Hey, I actually just need to honor myself." And if they are truly your friend, they will respect that
Yeah.
and love you for it. And your connection and your relationship will only go deeper. And so I found that by practicing healthy boundaries and protecting my attention, the wrong people have sort of just
Yeah.
gone from my life, and the right people just end up staying, and I end up having deeper, more connected, more intimate relationships with the people in my life, and or showing the people in my life that are there how to be in my life. And I think all of that is some way. So I think it really is just being aware. Like paying attention is like I have a journal. I pay attention to things that make me feel good, and I pay attention to the things that bring me down. Like
Hmm.
I have a monthly reflection process that, and every week, every day, in fact, I am cataloging like what were the highs and lows, not what were the wins
Yeah.
and losses, like what were the highs. So what emotionally made me feel good, what emotionally dropped me down. And by
Yeah.
paying attention to that, then I can be like, oh, okay, this person and that thing made me feel down. Why? Is there a common thread? Do I need to have a conversation? Do I need to set a boundary? And if you just keep doing that, oh my gosh, like your life is going to significantly improve on every front just because you feel better.
Yes.
Um,
I agree.
so that's
And I think that too can be applied to people in their business, right? Especially in this industry. If a client is somebody that you don't feel good after your meetings, maybe they don't need to be your client, you know?
that, and that's a powerful, and here's the thing, when you're operating from that abundance mindset, you can say that.
Yeah.
Because if you're scarce and you're like, oh, there's not enough clients. Oh, I'm going to run out of clients. Oh my God, I have to have this person. That's scarce. That's
Yeah.
fear,
Yeah.
right? And then you are going to sacrifice your well being. You're going to sacrifice your time. You may even sacrifice your money. You may take less from that client. Like it just creates like but when you have that abundance mindset and you say, hey, my clients are out there. There's
Yeah.
people that are going to value what I offer. And when you come from that space, like it just creates such a deeper, more connected and awesome relationship with the people you serve.
Yes.
Um, and that to me is really how like lifetime value is one of the metrics that we focus on so much in e-commerce, right? In our e-commerce businesses, because to us, it doesn't matter getting a first time purchase. It's can we get that person to buy again and again and again and
Right.
again and
Right.
again because they love what we're about, they love who we are, those long-term relationships. And I think if we can, if the shift goes from, how do you make every customer a lifetime customer, that conversation changes then because you can't sacrifice your own health if you're going to have that person around for life,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
and you can't be all about taking from them if they're going to be around for life. So it
Yeah.
allows that rising tide raises all ships mindset to just kind of naturally unfold when you're operating from that space.
Yes. I agree. We should have had you for the next webinar also. We're just going to have more conversations with you. Um,
Great, I love it.
So, in addition to your Stay Grounded podcast, you also have, like you said, a coffee company. And so, how does coffee relate to being grounded? You sort of touched on it a little bit, but expand.
Yeah. So to me, you know, almost everybody I know drinks some form of a beverage in the morning,
Yes.
right? Like coffee is one of the most popular beverages that most people drink,
Yes.
including myself. And I've always found that, the preparation of something, whether it's food, whether it's coffee, whether it's matcha, whether it's tea, has sort of like a mindful energy to it.
Yes.
And um, for me, our coffee company is really predicated around the idea of using the coffee ritual and transforming that into an extraordinary daily experience. So it's this idea of, being conscious about the beans you buy. It's about grinding your coffee by hand. It's
Yes.
about using a coffee maker that takes a few minutes instead of something that you just hit a button and go with. It's
Right.
infusing more intentionality into a thing that you do every day. And by doing that one thing, you're allowing more intentionality to enter every part of your life.
Yes.
And right, so that because that intentionality is what truly connects us back with ourselves. Like when we take that deep breath, when we're mindful of what's happening in the moment, is what brings us back here. And so that's really how, to me, the idea of a coffee ritual plays into being grounded. It's an anchor. It's a moment. Like that first sip can be like it wakes up the senses. The smell of coffee can be something that just brings you back to this moment. It can remind you of your family. I mean, there's so many really deep and intimate ways for you to use something like coffee to connect with life. And I think when we connect with life, when we connect with the greater picture, when we remember that we are bigger than what's in front of us, when we remember to come back to our bodies, we are truly we're living full lives. And so I think for me, that's how coffee has played a role. But it's not just coffee, it can be anything that has an ability for you to infuse ritual into it. Like the ritual aspect is what allows you to connect with what's here. And that can be a walk in nature, that can be anything. And so that's at least how it's played for me over the years.
It's beautiful. Well, I definitely have a ritual with my coffee every morning. So it's very much a part of my day. And what I really love is that you've been able to take this and create an experience with your customer who really is a client at this point, right? You've made them a client, and you're creating something that no other coffee company is doing, right? So you've been able to differentiate yourself in that way, and it's beautiful. Yeah, love it.
I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So, shifting gears a bit, I'm not surprised that millennials are largely in control of our culture these days. So, and you are a part of that. Um, and this also applies to the financial space. Can you provide any advice or guidance on what you think makes a good advisor or an agent, like somebody your age, somebody who is interested in purchasing financial or insurance products? Like, what do you look for?
I personally look for people that, so one, it depends on our like goals, I guess. Like I'm very much designing my life for lifestyle. So like, you know, I tend to find people that I align with from a lifestyle standpoint. So people who have similar interests, similar values, similar, like for example, my financial advisor is somebody that I go to concerts with. Like
Yeah,
he's somebody that I connect with on a really deep level around these types of conversations. And so like when I think about people that I purchase financial products from, it's people that are actually living the lives that I want to live, not just, because that there's like, I've taken financial advice and I've taken financial help from people that aren't actually at the same level as me,
yes,
and it doesn't work because they're just giving advice without understanding the needs and
you are.
embodying the needs of who I am. And so I'm really careful to take financial advice from people that are either ahead of me, who have made more money than me,
Mm-hmm.
or who are at the same level as me, and really kind of bringing that in. So like the financial advisors I've worked with over the years have been either they've grown their practices like crazy, right? Like they have really big practices, and so like I'll go to them. Or, my current financial advisor, he had his first exit at 18,
Wow.
and so like he's been through a few cycles now, and he's got his own company where he advises clients. I go to him now. So I think it just, for me, that's been a really important thing, and I have made mistakes in the past not taking advice from people that
Sure.
have experienced or done what I want to do in my life for
Yeah.
themselves. And I think that now is like a really important anchor for me. But that's just me. I mean, I don't know how other millennials think about it. Like other millennials, I don't even know if other 29-year-olds are actively like thinking about insurance products and actively thinking about
I
finance
mean,
products as much. Like I just
I
don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I started in this industry when I was 21. So that was like my first Roth IRA was set up, and I've bought all the products and I, have all the things because I'm in this industry. But my friends definitely were not doing all of that. But I believe that it's something that we need to focus on and we need to have these conversations younger so that we are prepared, even though
Hmm.
we don't need to like have a total plan in place. That plan can change.
Well, and I think again back to the goals, right? Like I think I'm in a very different position than most millennials. And I think basic financial products like, well, I think basic financial products like that, like I don't know if you necessarily need to take advice, or at least I think there's a lot of basic stuff that we can get going. But if I was to work with somebody, to me, the people I work with, whether it's my lawyers, whether it's anybody, like I'm really looking for people that I can connect with
Yeah,
on an intimate value level. Like
yeah,
we have to value the same things.
yeah,
And if we don't value the same things, I can't take advice from you because your your lens and the way that you suggest that I live my life isn't going to help me live the life that I want to live.
it's not in alignment. So
Yep. So,
yeah, yeah. And this is what I'm talking about with everybody I work with. The importance of building community and that being your ecosystem for your business, right? And connecting with people on a level and connecting with the people that like to do the things you do, you know? Just having like-minded people around you. And you're right, they're all different levels, you know? So, yeah. What about, we've kind of talked about this, but how do you stay grounded in your personal life? Do you have a daily practice outside of your coffee?
well, really, I mean, connecting with myself every day is a daily practice. Now, I may have different ways of connecting with myself, right? It could be going to the gym, it could be doing a yoga class, it could be drinking a cup of coffee, it could be journaling, it could be meditation. I try to first thing in the morning before I actually get my day started, just take some time for myself.
Yeah,
And that to me is so important because like I find that when I'm most anxious, it's because I've lost my connection with myself. I've lost where I'm going. Like I don't feel grounded in my plans, in my like I'm really scattered. And
yeah,
it's usually because I'm not present in
yes.
my body.
Hmm.
So to me, really taking the time to be present with my body, and using a variety of practices like the ones I just mentioned at a specific time in the day. And I
Yeah,
usually try to do something when I wake up and when I go to sleep,
nice.
like both of those anchors, because I've found over the years that waking up and going to bed are the only two things that you can actually control about your day.
Yeah.
Like you can't like I mean sometimes your dog might get sick in the middle of the day or like how many times have you gotten meetings or emergencies come up when you have all these plans, you say you're going to get it done and it doesn't get done.
Yeah.
So to me like starting and ending my day with myself and connecting with myself has been a powerful anchor. It's like a it bookends my day
Yeah.
with like with just something that is so me regardless of what happens in my day. And I think there's something to that. There's something about, you know, the idea of waking up and prioritizing yourself, even if it's just for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, I think
Yeah.
it goes a long way.
It really does. And the only way that we can show up for others is if we show up for ourselves first, you know?
Yep. Now you
So
can't give from an empty cup,
that's right.
right? Like you really cannot give from an empty cup. Like, and so, you have to learn to, and I've always realized this, like, happy people want to be around happy people.
Mhm.
Right? So like if you're not actually making yourself happy and making that a priority, like you're not showing up with the enthusiasm that allows you to actually build better relationships. Like I've really learned that over the years. Like so the way you feel like there's a resonance with
Yeah.
others. And so I found especially in sales, especially in doing deals, especially as I've kind of grown over the years, like when I and really just being with myself and being in my body and being and then prioritizing that has just led to so much connection, not
Yes.
just with myself but with others. And I can't speak enough about it because it's just so important.
Yeah. So are you saying that energy is important?
Your energy is everything. I mean, like I think that, um, like the way people feel around you is absolutely important.
Yeah.
And that's a reflection of the way you feel around you.
Yeah.
About you, right? Like it is, like it's an absolute mirror. And so I have just found over the years, the more I work on myself, the more I prioritize myself, the better my life gets. I
Yes.
know that sounds counterintuitive, but like
Totally.
it just like being selfish with a purpose. Like selfish is not a bad thing because being selfish allows you to literally give more. Like you have more because you are
Yeah,
fueling yourself from the inside out.
absolutely.
Um,
I totally agree. Yeah. I definitely have had times in my life and my career where I was very much not happy and not living a life that was, you know, good. I did not care for myself.
mhm.
And everything was a reflection of that. And so until I had that, hard look at myself and realized that I was worth more and that I needed to put the work in to change who I am, like nothing was going to happen. Nothing was going to get better, you know? And a lot of people just expect things to be good and it's like no, you have to put the work in. It's
Yeah.
you you know, so you have to be committed to yourself. And I think that's one of the most important things that you can do in this life is to be committed to your health and your, you know, body and having good energy. So,
Uh-huh, I agree.
let's see. How do you recommend others stay grounded or start a more mindful way of living? Like, what's a easy way to incorporate something that wouldn't be super difficult to do? Because my practice is
Um,
very extensive these days. So,
I think just really starting with your breath,
yeah,
like once or as many times as you want a day, just like put a reminder in your phone to just keep your feet on the ground, like feel your knees, just like kind of be here and just breathe. Like do like 3 to 5 deep breaths and just think about like one thing you're grateful for in this moment. And that's just start there. Like it doesn't have to be anything more than that. Even that, you do it consistently, will create such a dramatic difference in your emotional well-being.
yeah,
And that is and you're back to the energy piece. Like when you feel grateful, like others can feel it.
Yes.
Like it's just it's a thing that it's a very contagious energy, and it's a very beautifully attractive energy that allows more connection, more insight, more like you just flow better. And I've just so that simple thing, just slow down, breathe, and just think about something you're grateful for and how many ever times you want to do it. I mean, there's no cap to it. If you want to write down 25 things you're grateful for a day, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
cool. If you just want to think about something you're grateful for,
Yeah.
when you're in the bathroom or when you're in the shower, or it doesn't matter. It's just, so that's probably where I would start.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. Well, it's amazing how many people don't breathe. People hold their breaths a lot in this society, and it is so damaging to our health. So, yeah, that's an important thing to do. Thank you. All right. We're getting down to the last few minutes. You have a gift for the attendees. Do you want to tell us about that?
Uh,
You know what we're talking about? I think it was a downloadable ebook, maybe.
oh, was it the PDF on how to yeah, I do have a PDF. I
I
have a PDF on how to have more than 24 hours in your day. Sorry, I like blank for a second. Yes. Yeah, I wrote this guide a few years ago, when I worked full time. So
okay.
when I built JavaPress, I worked full time, and I would always get questions from people about how I did it, and how do I have so much time. And really the ebook and the guide is more so about kind of changing your relationship with time altogether. Like it's not about managing your time as much as it is managing your focus and your energy. And when you become more intentional about the like managing those metrics, like you naturally begin to use your time better, and you naturally begin to like just have more time because you're doing like you're just more intentional. And so you can head to I don't know where the link is. It's either rajjana.com or rajjana.com/stay grounded.
Well,
You can go there,
yeah. We'll
or I can send it to you.
yeah, yeah. We'll
That's
we'll
fine too. Yep.
we'll do a follow-up email with everybody and give them the copy of this replay, and then
Oh, great. Cool.
yeah, then we'll include
Perfect.
yeah. So, lastly, do you have any concluding thoughts, books, resources, anything that you would recommend to the audience on this topic besides your podcast, which
Mm.
we'll include that in the email also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely check out my podcast if anything I said resonated with you. I mean, it's just some of the conversations there are just they'll really drop you into your body. That's really the intention of the show.
Yes.
Let me think. Favorite books on staying grounded. Um, I've read a lot of books over the years, and I don't know if there's ever one book on the idea of staying grounded that I've been able to find. I think what I would more so encourage as a thought for everyone is to introduce more mindfulness into your day. Actually, no, I take that back. A great book to start with is The Miracle Morning. The Miracle Morning by a guy named Hal Elrod. That was one of the first books that I was trying to put myself back in the beginner's mindset. Like if I when I first read that book, it changed my life. Like the whole book was about how you can change your life before 8 a.m. by focusing on several different aspects of a morning routine. It's like I think creating a routine in the morning when you wake up is one of the most powerful things anyone can do. And Hal Elrod's book was one of the best resources that I had. It's called The Miracle Morning, and it was just awesome. So I'd highly recommend that one.
Nice. Yeah, we'll definitely include that too in the email. One that I thought of around breath work. There's a book called Breath. And I'm going to grab my phone real quick to tell you who it is because I think this is an incredible book. It talks about not only the importance of it, but the science behind it, right? And I think a lot of people, when you're talking about these ideas, they really it's so out there that they want science backing it, right? And it all works if you believe it. It's by James Nestor. So that was a really
Mm.
good one. I don't know if you've read that, but that's
I
one that
haven't yet, but it's been recommended a lot. I've been
okay.
really getting deeper into breath work. Like
Yeah.
in fact, I was literally talking to my girlfriend about that this morning around like really focusing on breath work as like the thing.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things I just haven't, yeah, I haven't really dove into it yet, but
Well, Wim Hof, you're familiar with Wim Hof breathing.
Mhm.
So, you know, there's some really good stuff out there for sure. So we just need to get that oxygen into our bodies and into our minds. And we could do so much more, you know? So, all right. Well, that concludes my questions, unless Allison has any from the audience. Just a comment from Bill. He commented, do well by doing good. That's
Mm,
totally.
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. All right. So, in conclusion, thank you again for joining us. We
Mhm.
have many valuable sessions coming up. Our next one is, what's the date on the next one? We didn't include that in my script, so we'll be sure to let you guys know. It's in June. It will be in June. We're doing one a month. And again, we have like a really cool lineup. In the meantime, feel free to go to our website, theannuityconsultants.com, and download any of the guides. We've got 8 guides there with previous webinar recordings from all of our special guests. And if you haven't already, follow us at the Annuity Consultants on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram for updates and invitations to upcoming webinars. And again, that concludes today's session. Thank you all for attending, and you have a great day. Thank you,
Thanks,
Raj.
guys. Thank you.
Okay.